Well, I'm live, I think. Another Friday and a different setup. I'll know in a second if I'm live when somebody joins me here. How are y'all doing today? I'm RJ Ogren with Painting with RJ. And, oh, yes, hi, Steph. Thank you. I know that I'm live. I didn't see the countdown. Uh, Craziness here. You can see the painting I'm working on. And I've set this up today in my new studio, so I'm closer to one of the windows. I've got a better setup. I don't have a real bright light on part of me, and I think you all can see this much better. And I'll put my glasses on. Hi, world. Um, Kevin, Chris Gasty. Hey, how you doing, Chris? And David, nice to have you with us. Christopher Gasty, longtime friend, great actor, entertainer, dancer, singer. Am I done? So the reason I didn't start right at 3 is because I got everything set up in this new position, and I put paint in my tray, the throwaway trays that I use. And actually, I reuse these a lot because they have covers on them. But you see how that paint is thrown across there? That's because then I jumped up to get some coffee and knocked it over, and I have a modern art piece in there. So I'm going with it. I don't care. And first I'm going to have some coffee. I've just finished watching all 3 Toy Stories while I was working on this painting. And for those of you who don't know, I watch movies, but I sort of listen to them. Has to be a movie I've seen before, obviously, or I'll spend my whole time watching. Excuse me, but so that's why the Toy Story mug, which wrong way. There we go. And oh, that's good. But before I start painting, I wanted to, yeah, David, hi, and Brian. Oh, everybody's jumping on. This is really cool. This is for employees. This is from cast services when Suzanne and I worked at Disney in the 70s. And this is 1975 and spring of 76. And it has all the information employees need, publications, education, little pictures of Mickey on each page, cast activities. Yeah, it's a really cool book. And then I have one of my favorite little toys that is on the sink of my Disney bathroom, and you don't see many of these anymore. Oh, okay, RJ, stop. Look, it even says Pluto on it. You can see I've got a dog in the painting. That is the dog that the couple owns. They sent me a separate photo of the dog. I'll put my toy away. I'm so discombobulated now. I had no. Oh, there they are. I'll be right back. So while I am mixing a gray here, which I don't have to go very far with the paint from one side to the other because the white all jumped into the black. So I have now, and this is acrylic paints. Again, for those of you just joining, I'm RJ Ogren. Glad to have you with us, not with everybody else, but with me. And to let you know that starting next week, Suzanne is going to get back on doing her blogs every week. So when I'm actually broadcasting at 3 o'clock on Fridays, she is going to be in her studio upstairs, and she's going to be writing her current blog for the week, and it'll be posted on her blog site, which is srogren.blogspot.com. I'll actually put that out. You can get that off of our website too, rjogren.com. And it'll be on our website each week. She'll write it and then post it like 4 or 5 o'clock that day, and on her blog spot and on the blog and our website. And I will post these videos. I've already posted a bunch on our website, and I need to catch up because, as most of you know, we bought a house in Aurora, Illinois, west of Chicago, where I was born. And I have a bigger studio with more light, which is fantastic. And I'm starting to slowly catch up on all the paintings because of the move and everything else we got behind. But anyway, so, and I'm doing another thing. I'm going to get on Facebook and Twitter and everything first thing in the morning, and then I'm going to shut the computer down until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon and do a few more things, because otherwise I get caught up on my laptop and I don't get anything done. A lot of fun talking to everybody. Oh, and Suzanne asked me to tell you too, if you go to her blog starting next week and become a regular reader and you post comments, you let her know things like what you would like her to write about if there's something in particular. And it won't be all just on Disney, so it's going to be all kinds of stuff. And you're a regular visitor or comment on things, that she will certainly be happy to friend you on Facebook. I know a lot of you have asked to friend her, and I know all of you, but she doesn't know who you all are. And it's a good way for you to get to know her. And anyway, so that's out of the way. I did that. And now I'm going to do a little bit on these trees. RJ's finally going to paint something. I'm going to use a sponge. Now these sponges, this is acrylic paints. These sponges you can buy at any art supply store. And you buy them in a package. And you can tear them up. Usually sometimes they're pretty big. And this, you can see I've used this one before, but it has a lot of nice tiny little spots. And I'm going to actually dip it in the water here first, which is still clean, and get it wet. And no, this couple is not done. I painted them in very quickly just yesterday or day before. Yeah, the day before. Anyway, I've been working on that. This is fun to paint, but my eyes got crossed a few times painting Spaceship Earth because, of course, everything goes off in different curves around it. And believe it or not, I'm doing this background and monorail a little bit impressionistic. Even though you're looking at that, it doesn't look impressionistic at all. I'm going to move this so you can see. If you see up close, you can see. Stop shaking, RJ. There's not a lot of detail in all those little triangles that go all different directions. Let me get it back in the right spot here. There we go. Aha. Yes. Okay. And so anyway, I'm going to do all this in a little bit more loose style behind. Now they'll be in more detail in the foreground. And of course, I've taken different photos I took, different photos I found, and I've put this all together so you'll never see this exact spot like this in Epcot. Go looking for it. Now I'm going to start the background trees. Now you see I painted them all black first. There's a reason for that, because actually in nature, when you see the trees and stuff, you actually see a lot of darkness, a lot of black in the darker areas. And I'm using Hooker's green here. So I'm dipping my sponge, there you go, in there, and I'm going to go on these trees here and bounce. It's bouncing. You can tell it's a stretched canvas. Now these are the background trees. Yes, I will clean this up some. All right, don't get excited. Don't get upset, because I'm going to be putting some in here and this so it doesn't bounce so much. Oh no, I got it on your face. That's what I didn't want you to get upset about. Sorry. I will wipe his face off. Wipe her veil off. They're not done. Don't get excited. I will go back and work on them after I have finished these trees and the monorail. Now over here, this looks a little different because right now I'm just putting some green where there's some background things way in the distance. There are some trees that will be here. I will do them later. So I'm going to, there we go. All right. Wasn't that fun? No. Oh, Rod, thank you for the comment. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate it when you all say you like that. And again, if you just joined me, I'm RJ Ogren. I was an auto animatronic artist, one of the original 4 management artists at Walt Disney World in the 70s. And we worked with a lot of Disney legends like Mark Davis and the Yoda Toombs and John Lynch and John Hench. Jeez. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you get paint all over your hands when you do this with the sponge. Now I'm not even going to clean the sponge off, but I am going to some pre-mixed green here that I had. And I'm going to put some lighter colors and create instant trees. Woohoo! And bushes. Some bushes in the foreground. There we go. Some over here. Some in between. Oh, I'm going to get more green on them. I'm sorry. Okay. A little bit over here. The background behind these trees. I know, it's like cheating, right? When I was a very young artist, when I was in my 20s, okay, I already had paintings in a gallery in Fort Lauderdale, Las Olas Gallery. I was doing some pretty loose style painting, very social paintings. Actually, I painted hippies, all kinds of stuff, because I was one. But I took forever if I was painting trees, because I would do it with a small brush and do all that. And then I met this one artist, and his paintings were spectacular. He took me to his house and showed me his paintings, and I was blown away by how he did the trees. And he said, use one of these, and he shows me a sponge. I'm like, oh. So anyway, more coffee. So now I'm going to let that dry for just a few minutes here. And get the paint off of I'm barefoot, by the way. Yeah, that's nice. I can actually, I have slippers that I'm wearing. I wear shoes all day. I'm sitting in my studio. Now, I wanted to make sure I got the paint off of my hands because I'm going to show you our books. For those of you who don't know, Suzanne and I have written books. And again, our website is www.rjogren.com. And Suzanne works in monorails and in entertainment and in the dwarf unit and other characters she did in the characters. And she then went into entertainment management. But our first book is Together in the Dream, and these are published through Theme Park Press. and there I am painting one of the crocodiles in the Jungle Cruise. And there's actually a story about that. That was when that right after the picture was taken, it started snowing for real in Orlando during the day. Uh, and the sequel to that is Remembering the Magic uh, by both of us. And this first one is actually the foreword is by uh, Alice Davis, the wife of Mark Davis, the artist, and she is also a Disney legend and dear lady. And Remembering the Magic, the foreword is by Bev Bergeron, who, if you saw the original Diamond Horseshoe reviews at Walt Disney World for the first 16 years it was open, he was the comic relief in the show and magician, and he actually co-wrote that show. And doing my advertising. One more. This book is written by me. It's The Design of Fear, and it's about the Haunted Mansion, all the things I learned working with paints and working on figures in the Haunted Mansion in blacklight too, and then all the haunted houses I've gone and done over many years. And there's a lot of funny stories in all three books. So that's that. Now, anybody have a question? No. Okay. I am now going to actually paint on the monorail. So I'm going to drop this a little bit here. There we go. And well, you can see now what that green thing was hanging down on the top. That's Emmett. No, it's not. Anyway. Oh God, I got to have something stronger than coffee. Now, I am going to work on the monorail, and I am like I said, I'm not going to keep this in a real tight. See what happens. Okay, acrylics dry fast, but green is not one of them. I got to keep my hand out of the paint. So I want to paint in the top edge of the monorail. And because this is white, I probably will have to put a second coat on it. You can see some of my pencil marks in here. I'm going to paint those out. And it's actually a solid white right here. Come right across. Painting over this spaceship Earth. Okay. It's Friday. Thank God. Oh, look, it's almost a straight line. Um, how do you know that Suzanne and I are involved in theater? We just closed Hamlet last Sunday. We were very pleased. Our last performance, we did nine production. We did 9 shows, and we got 3 standing ovations, 3 different nights, and 1 great standing ovation last night. So that made it a lot of fun. I'm going to go up here to the nose because there's some white right on that there. Okay. Some white down the windows. And I know last week I was talking about driving monorails. These things are a lot of fun to drive. I started out as a monorail pilot. Only did it for 3 months, and then I was an artist. Got lucky. So now we'll go back here to the next car. And paint the top edge of it. Am I trying to see if I'm in your way? There we go. All right. Now, let's continue it on back into the trees. This is just pure white. And don't worry if I make a mistake. I have different containers that I use for different colors, and I do have these colors of spaceship Earth. And so if I make a mistake, I can fix it. Put some down. Not worried about whether or not they're too wide right now. I'll fix that when I go over the windows again and paint the black in. For those of you who have seen some of my work, you know that I did a painting a while back that was Main Street at night with the castle in the distance and all the fireworks going off. A lot of people in the painting. And Sarah, who I did that painting for us, a huge painting. It was bigger. I think it was bigger than this one. It was. And it took a long time. And she asked me just a little bit ago if the spaceship Earth was as time consuming or took as long to paint as the castle. No, the castle took a lot longer. I think in some of the future paintings I do with the castle, I will go more impressionistic with those too. And well, thank you, David. Appreciate that. And RJ time. Thanks. Oh, Aaron, you used to love those toys. You're talking about the yes. This is great. Let's sit there and play with Pluto. If you're interested in buying any of our books, you can go on our website or you can go to Theme Park Press. You can go to Amazon, straight to Amazon, and just put in my name or Suzanne's name. And actually, if you put in my name, yeah, all of our books will come up, including Suzanne's novel. And our next book, which is the history of Walt Disney World with a unique twist to it. We are officially going to finally get back on it next week. Suzanne has finally gotten her study organized because we just moved in. And so we'll officially get back on it next week, and our goal is to have it done by March for two reasons. One, we want to have it done for the spring, and if we're done writing by that time, then the book should be out late spring, early summer, and then we'll decide what the next book will be. But also, Suzanne wanted to be done by March because our son Sean and she co-directed Hamlet, but Sean is the artistic director of Bard and the Burbs, and he has asked his mother to direct Much Ado About Nothing, which will be our spring production. So she's going to be a little busy when that starts. Okay, here we go. All right. Now, uh, I'm going to be using the white and the gray that I mixed. Again, if you haven't seen me do this before, these are food containers. In fact, there was, I think this had lasagna. It's from Maggiano's. Um, there's none in there now, and they're great for making the paint last. You don't have to go out and buy expensive things to paint with. Just stuck my hand in the trees again that are wet. Obviously, usually when I do something like that with the trees, I will work on something else down below that until the trees dry. Because I have a tendency to rest my whole hand on the painting. That's all right. If I smear anything, I can fix it. Suzanne just reminded me that when she started monorails, this was the first, Monorail Red was the first one she got to drive on her own once she was qualified. It took 10 days of training to be a monorail pilot. Don't you want to know why? Because you have to learn everything about them if you're going to drive them. You have to know about the electrical systems and obviously how to drive them properly. But there's a lot involved, and you do a lot of drive time before they will let you drive one on your own. Now, what I'm doing is I did mix this gray, which is just titanium white and is that ivory black, I think I've got. Yeah. And it's, don't go away. Yeah, ivory black. And I'm using titanium white right out of the tube. And I'm putting that on here and I'm blending that while it's still wet. A bit more here. I had hoped to have this one done and starting on another painting today, but this one, it looks like now it will be finished by Monday. And the hardest part was Space Mountain. So I've got that out of the way now. And I can move a lot quicker on the other parts of this painting. The only other part where I'll really slow down will be when I'm doing the detail on the two people in this painting. And even that won't be too difficult. I've been painting people for a long time. I've done a lot of portraits over the years of famous personalities, actors, astronauts, all kinds of stuff. But it's given me the chance to really get good at painting people. And I just stuck my finger in paint again. Not on the painting this time, in the tray. I'm going to get it off that edge. There we go. See how my fingers get. There's a very dark area under here, underneath the front of the monorail. Yeah, I know last week I was actually telling you how we had to drive these things and learn how to stop them properly. I'm working very quickly because obviously acrylics dry very fast. And I will, if I need to put in some highlights after it's dried, I actually will just dry brush them in. Sometimes using my finger to blend it. Okay, now put a little bit here on these fins. And just so you know, the fins on the sides are not what hold the monorail on the beam. Everybody's going like, duh. They're actually hiding the wheels that are sideways wheels that grip the beam on both sides. And there are wheels underneath the cap too, because it's riding on that. So anyway, get out of there. So if you've just joined me, I'm RJ Ogren, the artist. I was a former audio animatronic artist at Walt Disney World. And if you're a little concerned about the two people in the painting here, I did get some green on them when I was using sponge to sponge in the leaves on the trees and stuff in the background. But they're not done. That's just roughed in colors. So in case you just came on and went, oh my God. No, I'm sure you didn't. Now, I'm not trying to be extremely detailed here because I want this to be a little impressionistic. The couple, when I paint them in, will be in more detail. And to tell you the truth, I actually don't know if they were married at Disney. I know this particular photo wasn't taken in this location at Epcot. So it's a photo they sent me. There. Now, I was trying to think of what attraction I could talk about. Now, I never worked at Epcot, although we did start to train some of the artists that were going to be working on Epcot to get it open. Um, and then I left before Epcot actually opened. Went out on my own. I've been on my own ever since. Although I've still done stuff for Disney off and on over the years. One of my more recent ventures for Disney was the Treasures of the Walt Disney Archives that I painted over 150 feet of um, pixie dust swirls. They actually were not yellow, but blue. And that was at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. I wanted to make that a little darker. There. I have a big pot that I use for. Oh, and I just went out and bought a single light fixture, fluorescent light fixture that'll be mounted. Actually, you can kind of see the ledge up there above um, my easel. That light will be mounted up there because I'll be doing some paintings in black light for long. And so, well, now we have the makings of the main front cab. And if you didn't know it, you can drive the monorails from either cab. And you can drive them backwards. So, so anyway, okay. Hey, all right. Let me go with a little bit of black now. Up here. If any of you have the model of monorails that you would like to send me, please do. Uh, every time we went to buy one, for one reason or another, it didn't happen. So after all these years, we still don't have a model. Actually, if I did have it, I would figure out a way to put it on a track around the top of my studio. Okay, I showed you the picture I showed you our books and a picture of me with the crocodile on the front, painting the crocodile. I get asked a lot if that's a real crocodile. No, but um, that day that picture was made, like I said, it snowed, and it also snowed that night in Miami for the first time in recorded weather history of Miami. and it was one of the rare times that it actually snowed in the daytime in Orlando. Usually Orlando will get, maybe every 7 years or whatever. It'll be, and it does get quite cold. Those of you who have been down to Orlando now in early November until late March, it can get down into freezing at times, which we loved when we lived there. I always wanted it to get cold. So during those months, when we would go out to work on an attraction like the Jungle Cruise, obviously we had to have a coat on because it was cold. Now, listen, when you live up north, you get used to the cold enough that you go outside and it's 50 degrees. You go, nice, I can wear short sleeves. When you live in Florida, after a few years living there, you acclimate to that weather. And so when it gets down to 60 there, even 60 or 65, you put on a coat. I'm not here. Don't call me right now. I think Suzanne answered that. Thank you, dear. Disney's smart because they put a whole bunch of jerseys and stuff in the Emporium shop just as people come off of the monorails and realize they are not dressed warm enough for the humidity and the cold of Florida. We did get weird looks from Northerners when we'd walk around town and it'd be 65 degrees and we're wearing a winter coat because it felt cold to us. So anyway, when I was working there in the Jungle Cruise, right, not long after that picture was made, there was no water in the Jungle Cruise. We actually had a major rehab on the attraction, and all the water was taken out for 3 weeks. And it was so cold for a few days that we had patches of water sitting along the bottom of the concrete bottom of the waterway. And there was one spot, there was about 20 feet of water, and it froze solid. And of course, we got there, we'd go in there about 7:15 in the morning, and great, here we are in Florida, and we're sliding. Spent the first 20 minutes playing on the slide of the ice. But anyway, Tom came by. It was close to time for us to finish up for the day, and we would leave every day at about 3:15 and go home, which was nice. And I would we had a Pargo golf cart, and obviously when we go out to work in the jungle, we take that because we could walk through the tunnels, but then when you got down by Main Street, you had to go up through the shops and through some of the secret entrances and exits and walk over to the load where the boats are stored near the boarding area where guests are. And then you could walk into the jungle and do what you're going to do. A lot of times, though, like when we do in the rehab, we would take our golf cart and drive around the main road behind the Magic Kingdom and up a dirt road and come right into that same area where the boat docks are, and go in and work on the attraction. And Tom came by to get me, and we were standing in the on the concrete right by maybe about 15 feet away from the entrance to the temple ruins. And Tom was facing the ruins. I was facing, looking at him as we were talking. We were actually talking about the other crocodiles that are there as you're going in. I come up on the other side of the boat that we were going to work on the next day. And Tom, this story isn't one of the books. I'm only going to give you part of it. But Tom says, turn around. He whispers. He goes, turn around real slow and look up. I went, why? He says, don't talk, just turn around. Look. Now, we play practical jokes all the time. So when somebody tells you to do that, you figure you're about to get hit with some face full of water or something. I thought Lee might be behind me. And so I said, okay. So I turned around and looked up, and staring down at us from the tomb entrance, up on top of it was a full-grown Florida cougar. And its head sticking through some of the bushes and foliage. It was a vicious puma. I'm sorry, it looked like it wanted to eat us. And it wasn't fake, it was real. And as you know, Disney World is surrounded by natural Everglades and swamp and everything. And this thing had come in and gotten into the Jungle Cruise. And so we're standing there looking at it, and it's looking at us. And I said, Tom or I said, what do we do? He said, don't move. And we just kept staring at it, and it was staring at us. And finally, it backed up into the foliage, and we took off running. And we ran over to where the golf cart was, and we didn't see anybody. So we actually quickly got on a phone that was right in that area and called security and told them about it. They thought we were kidding at first, but animal control and security people came swarming into the jungle to find the big cat. And must have hidden itself really good because they didn't find it right away. In the meantime, Tom and I are driving at top speed in the golf cart. Now you know how fast a golf cart goes at top speed. Not fast enough to get away from a puma. Tom says, "What do we do?" I said, "Just keep driving fast." He says, "Do you see it?" I says, "Look, it won't matter if we see it. It's going to catch us if it's behind us because it can run twice as fast as we're going." But we drove all the way back on that dirt road and down the back road and got to our studio, which was behind Small World, and went in and told Lee and Jane. They thought we were kidding. And then we got in our cars to go home. Now I'm driving out, and I drove out that back road, and a lot of times I'd go different directions to go home. I lived in Maitland, it was Orlando Winter Park in Maitland on I-4 there, and I would pick different ways to go. And this day I drove around, and if you're facing the Magic Kingdom, I went around the left side. Actually, I came around the side where now the Grand Floridian is. And as I'm now driving up that road, going toward the front of the property, here comes that cat out of the Jungle Cruise, loping and running across right over the road in front of me. It was probably about 100 yards in front of me, and runs over into the woods. So we didn't have cell phones back then. So I stopped at the gas station, which used to be right there at the exit as you're leaving the park, and called security and told them I had just seen the cat running into the woods. Now, they did see the cat, so they know we weren't kidding, but and they were trying to scare it out of the jungle. And you have to remember, the whole park was open. This was middle of the afternoon, and that's all they needed was for a Florida cougar to come into Main Street. Because that would have been fun. But unfortunately, it went back into the woods, never to be seen again. I'm just going to paint over a couple little spots here. How am I doing on time? Whoa, I got 7 minutes left. Boy, time flies when you're having fun and talking to everybody, and it seems like I'm talking to myself, which I am. I'm talking to myself. Oh, hi, Shannon. Oh, wait, I'm looking at what some of you wrote here. And see if anybody, on average, how long would you say it takes you to complete a painting? This is Brandy. Good question. Depending on the complexity, I need more coffee, which is now cold in my Toy Story mug. Depending on how much is in the painting and the complexity of it, but a painting this size, actually overall, it would take, if I worked straight 8 hours long every day, I'd probably paint it in about 40 hours or less. Some paintings take longer than others. Like I said, I wanted to have this done today, but then of course things happen. I'll get phone calls, whatever, and I get distracted by things. But usually I paint about 7 hours a day. And now I don't do any all-nighters anymore. I used to when I was younger. But anyway. Oh, here, Christine. Hi, Christine. Do you listen to Disney music when you paint? No, I actually watch movies, but I listen to movies because if I put on a movie I haven't seen, I won't get any painting done. I'll just sit there and watch the movie. So I have a DVD player. I even have a VHS player, and I enjoy that. Suzanne listens to music when she works in her studio upstairs. We can't hear each other at all. But I like to put on movies. I'll put on action movies, war movies. I'll put on Disney. Like today, I watched all 3 of the Toy Story movies in a row. So tomorrow I might watch Indiana Jones again. If it's one I've seen, which it needs to be, then I'm listening to it. It's background, and I'll be painting and listening. And if there's something, I'll stop and go, oh, that's a cool scene. I'll watch one little thing and back to painting again. So that's what I do. See if anybody else has. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Thank you all for watching. Oh, and thank you, Bonnie, for that compliment. Very nice. What is your next painting going to be? Gosh, I've got one that's a bunch of Disney characters in it. To start on, I got 5 stretch film paintings I need to get done. I've got a painting that I'm doing that I should be starting on next week too. That is Anton Ego and Remy. And Anton is in the restaurant. He's holding wine. Remy is looking at him holding a wine glass on the table, and there's cheese all around, and there's all these wine. It's like they're really having a party. So that'll be a fun one to do. And Christine, I have your painting coming up, I believe. So yes, a lot going on, and just trying to catch up here. I love all of your work. Thank you. Oh, you all say such nice things. And I've said before, after I go off of here, I then go back and I'll hit like all the comments, and I'll answer some of your questions. Thank you instead of a like, because that's actually when you say something really nice like that, I'll hit like. I want to say thank you. You're all so kind. I'm going to do a little bit of shadow. Oh no, I painted into the white. I'm going to take this color here, put it in first, and then I'm going to actually just take black and blend it in to get the shadow under here, under the nose, and a little bit up here, which is not as dark. Yeah. Red is one of the harder colors to work with when you're blending. And black, I should say black is also difficult to work with. So red and black together, it's like, eh. Well, and a lot of you know, by the way, that I have been doing Christmas displays that I made of all the Disney characters for Christmas, and also a blacklight display that I did all the characters in the Haunted Mansion, not all of them, a bunch of them in the Haunted Mansion with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. And this house we bought has a great backyard, and but we have a much smaller front yard. So we decided it was time to stop doing the displays in the front yard. And I put, somebody told me I should have sold the figures, but I didn't. I put them out for the neighbors, and within 10 minutes they were gone. So I hope people enjoy putting them out for their displays. And I'm going to stop right there for the moment. And and my timer's going off. There we go. Look at that. That's 58 minutes, actually. Let me see if I have any more. Oh, thank you, Kristen. You all say such nice things. Oh, thank you. We are working on a thing, by the way, to do a book signing. Oh, I can take my glasses off now. This is my good side. Wait a minute, this side. Hi. Typical actor. But we are going to be doing a presentation on our books and telling some stories, and then doing a book signing at the Aurora Public Library, which is a beautiful, big library. And that will be supposedly February 1st, working out the details on it right now. And we also may be doing another book signing down near Joliet, which we're working that out right now too. So anyway, thank you all for joining in again. I think this worked much better. You probably noticed, if you watched me the last couple of weeks, getting back into this again in my new studio. The light was really bright. I have 3 huge windows in this studio. And I finally figured out a better place to put the laptop and for me to sit, so it's not so harsh and you can see it better. And don't anybody ask me to do Spaceship Earth again right away, because I went cross-eyed painting that thing because of all the triangles and all the nuances of everything going on. And I did not paint this with super detail. It's actually, when you see it up close, it's impressionistic. But from this distance, you're seeing it, it looks like, it's realistic. And the Susie would walk in, how you doing on that? And I went, what? I'm fine. So it's been an interesting piece to do. Uh, and actually, that's the first time I painted Spaceship Earth, even though and some points, well, all of a sudden stuff just takes it. The triangles just go a whole different direction, and I found myself wondering just how they put this geodesic sphere together. Okay, thank you again for joining me, and I will be on again. I can look in here and fix my hair. I will be on again next Friday at 3 o'clock. This seems to be a better time for me to do this. Enjoy it. I hope all of you are able to partake, and if not, of course, you can watch it because I will save it and put it on my sites. If you haven't joined those sites, it's RJ Ogren and Disney and Haunted Mansion and Beyond with RJ Ogren. And we'll see you next week. Have a magical Disney week. Yay!